Hi, this is Frantz Kantor. Hello again. Frantz Kantor, cartoonist, illustrator, animator, teacher, Tinker Tailor Spy. I'm here at the Australian Cartoon Museum. And guess who is here with me? The president himself. You're going to say who you are?
Well, may they say God save the Queen, because nothing will save the Governor-General.
It's the governor.
It's Jim Bridges, and we're going to do a very great man. Both me and Frantz love this man.
Yes.
And a lot of other filmmakers think he's a god.
So,
have a guess.
Have a guess. We're
There he
doing
is.
this fellow here. Ray Hollywoodhausen. No, Ray Harryhausen.
There's one of his
Ray
girlfriends here.
Harryhausen.
There's one of his girlfriends just here.
Yes, it's the Medusa from Clash of the Titans. So, this is him. Which is the photograph? I'm not doing the elder statesman version of Ray Harryhausen. I'm doing a younger version. But I just wanted to show you some of his films. Tulip Shall Grow, you remember that?
No.
His first uncredited assignment was Mighty Joe Young, because he was enamoured of King Kong. That was in 1949. After that, in the early 50s, he did The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which is a beautiful movie. It Came from Beneath the Sea, which was a giant octopus. The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms, by the way, is like a dinosaur.
And Earth versus the Flying Saucers, where
Yeah.
where the flying saucer cuts into the
Capitol building.
and rips off the lid.
Yeah. 20 Million Miles to Earth, where and the classic Emir. That's a
Dinosaurs.
really, well, it's a creature from Venus. So they land on Venus and they bring back this egg
Yeah.
and it hatches and it creates some havoc.
Yeah.
Grows, anyway, he eats sulfur or something. What else?
I don't remember the Strange World of Planet X, but I remember the Seven Voyage of Sinbad.
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad was
The
one
orc.
of his, yeah.
The big bird.
Well, it had a big, well, it did, yes.
Yeah.
And it had the dragon and it had the Cyclops,
Yes.
which was one of his most famous
Yes.
characters. I'll see if I can grab hold of a Cyclops. There he is.
There it is, yeah.
That's the shot that we're going to be using
Yeah.
for our caricature. But this is the Cyclops. And it's the first time anyone had ever seen a Cyclops. And the way that
With a horn.
yeah, with a horn, and he had cloven feet as well.
And he had three-dimensional freckles. What?
Very, very scary.
Freckles in 3D.
Yeah. He visited this character design again later on in the
Yes.
Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
Yes.
This time instead of a satyr, like a goat-footed creature, biped, he turned him into a centaur. All right, so here we go. After that, there was the Three Worlds of Gulliver, which again another dragon. Mysterious Island, which had giant crabs.
Yes.
Which are very
They're
interesting.
fighting the crabs.
They're-
Very scary.
But guess how he made the crabs?
Out of crabs.
Out of crabs.
He actually got a crab and used its shell.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I think
very
they had to
funny.
get a lot of them
But
because
it
they
was so
used-
effective.
I think they stink
I don't-
after a certain period.
Well, he
underneath
just used
the
the
lights.
shell, so he boiled out the meat.
Yeah.
Had a
Yeah.
good feast. Jason and the Argonauts with the iconic skeleton dance.
Yes.
The skeleton sword fight.
Yeah.
With who was the guy?
Steve Reeves, was it? Steve Reeves?
No. Damn, he was in Gulliver as well. In Gulliver, he was in Gulliver, and he was in Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, I believe.
Well, I remember
Oh no, he wasn't in that.
I remember 1 million BC because that was the dinosaurs.
Sorry, yes, he was Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. That's what I'm talking about. So Jason and the Argonauts had another skeleton dance. This is a different story. They had
they had the fight.
the dragon, the seven-headed Hydra.
Yes. Yeah.
And they had Talos, the giant
Talos,
bronze man.
Yeah. He comes across. Yeah.
Yeah, so First Men in the Moon. I love that one. That had these great big selenites, which are these huge sort of cicada-looking people on.
Yeah.
Who lived on the moon.
In a ice sort of cave thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. 1 million BC with
dinosaurs.
With Raquel Welch. More dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Valley of Gwangi,
Well,
which is again another dinosaur.
Cowboys trying to rescue dinosaurs. Yeah.
And then he revisited the Sinbad franchise again with Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, and
Clash of the Titans.
That was his last one in 1981.
Yeah, which is probably the film.
His last feature film. He did
It's probably the film that most people remember him by. Who'd be watching this film anyway?
Yeah. So this is him with the Medusa from Clash of the Titans, and you probably remember the owl, the clockwork owl.
Didn't like it.
Yeah, but there was also the
horse,
the Kraken,
Pegasus, the Kraken. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Release the Kraken.
Yeah,
and all those British actors playing gods or playing chess with mankind.
Yeah, most people remember him because he had a real big body of work.
Yeah.
And at this stage of his life, and after the this was during the Clash of the Titans. So he had a lot of lecture tours, and he had all these models. This is from the Golden Voyage of Sinbad, the ship's prow that actually comes alive. This is a griffin from, I think, the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. I can't remember.
Yeah, with all the arms.
Yeah, but and this is obviously Medusa.
That's probably...
This is towards the end of his
I think that's
life.
Next to the skeletons. I think that's my favourite.
This one, yeah. She had a snake's body. She had snake hair, obviously. But she had this rattlesnake tip at the end, which sort of really made it very, very scary. Very scary. And this is the satyr from
the last film.
Gold. I'm not sure.
He has a whip.
Yeah. So this one I grew up with. I kind of remember that so well, so vividly. This fellow haunts my dreams. So whenever I have dreams, he's always in it. This Cyclops.
It was a one-eyed, one-horned flying purple people.
And he had this brilliant. They had this trumpety voice, you know. This klaxon type of sound, you know, that he would cry. And there was a brilliant battle in the end with the dragon and the Cyclops. So it was full on action. This guy loved action. He loved these fantastic characters. Without him, you wouldn't have these you know, beautiful characters come to life. Anyway, let's go back to it's mythology, right? Mythology. I was in love with Greek mythology since I was 7, and I had my first book, a mythological book. And the second book, by the way, the first book was The Golden Fleece, Jason the Golden Fleece.
Illustrated by those two sisters.
Yeah. The second book I had, believe it or not, was the Greeks, and it was like a university level essay, like a book on ancient Greece, and I loved that. I read that cover to cover, so I was into Greek mythology and ancient Greek culture.
Yeah.
Didn't have any pictures. Oh, I had a couple of little illustrations of pottery shards or something like that. So what I've got here is I've got an interesting shape, which is it's a bit hard to describe, but it's sort of like this. So it's got like a long jaw, long face, and oh, by the way, I'm using this stage of his life because even though his eyes do squint in all of the photographs, I think this is probably more characteristic of his expression because there's a lot of things happening in his face which we're going to talk about. So anyway, the hair obviously features a great part. What little hair he has, it sort of creates this sort of mad scientist tuft at the back of his head and the side of his head.
He looks like Sergei Eisenstein.
Looks like the crazy guy in the basement making films, which he is. Oh. He is the guy, and his parents loved him and really supported
like
that.
Roald Dahl.
Yeah. So it's so important. You know, my parents supported my interest in art and interest in science fiction
Yes.
and horror and things
His
like
parents
that.
did
So they
support
loved all of that. They really
parents
supported
did.
that,
That's
and I
right.
love them for it. His parents similarly did the same thing, and he had also a best friend, Ray Bradbury, who, you know, both of them bounced ideas off each other. So,
And the other thing is, everybody knows his models and his work.
Yeah.
But very few people have seen his drawings.
yeah,
And his drawings are very good.
they are.
They're very good, and they're very detailed. And
Yeah,
he just wouldn't draw the dinosaur. He'd draw all the environment it was in,
yeah,
and all the things it had to go through, and all that stuff. And well, he specialises in fantasy art. His work is fantasy art,
yeah,
but a great draftsman too.
yeah.
And check that out if you can.
Yeah, definitely. So, what we've got here with this photograph is it looks like it's sunlit, or a certainly single point of light, and it's throwing a lot of strong, beautiful shadows on the lower right hand side of the face. The other thing we want to keep in mind is we're building a relationship between the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. Okay, so these are the things. Proportion is something that is thrown out when you're exaggerating something with regards to a caricature, but you still need to refer each of these items constantly. It's a constant visual ballet between the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. So these are things that are going to build up a dialogue as we go. All right, so I've taken that thumbnail and I've expanded it into a quick concept which I want to play with on the tone paper. So this is a Strathmore tone paper, which is it's a warm grey, and it's going to meet us halfway. So we're going to be using a brown pencil and a white pencil and a black pencil, and they're going to be creating a sculptural drawing. Okay, so the style is caricature. What does that mean? We're sacrificing a lot of the details around outside of the facial area, the mask zone that I like to think of, this T-zone. So we're simplifying a lot of the shapes, and we're extrapolating a lot of the detail back into that simplified, changed composition of the face. Okay, so we've simplified it into this sort of shape, and we're able to then pull it like putty, and then go back into that new shape, the new border, the new proportions, and put the details in which are relevant. So that's where we are now. So here we go. Let's keep going with the rough thumbnail, with the rough sketch, and try to build up a dialogue of relevant details that looks like, hopefully, there's no guarantees, of course. Everything could fall down in a pile of cyclopean poop, but we'll try to make it work.
Cyclopean.
Yeah, I don't know what their poop looks like, but I'm sure it'd be pretty stinky, given that their main diet is people.
Oh, okay.
People are stinky without being turned into poop, but
Cyclops also looked after sheep.
And pigs. Only there were goats in the movie.
But the Greek, when you read it in the Greek.
Yeah.
Because he's in the cave with his
well, that's
Ulysses.
in the Greek.
Yeah.
That's Odysseus, not Ulysses.
Yeah,
Ulysses
but
Roman.
there's a Cyclops.
Yes,
Who's
in
got
the
him
story.
trapped in the cave.
That's the story of Odysseus.
Yeah, but that's a Cyclops. We're talking about a Cyclops.
Yeah, that's where the Cyclops idea comes from.
That's right.
But this Cyclops is not. This Cyclops is the seventh voyage of Sinbad.
He was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people. Okay. Do you think that's where the song came from?
I have no idea.
Anyway,
This came out at about 1963.
I think young Harry went and saw King Kong with his auntie, I think, and it made a huge impression on him.
Yeah.
It made a huge impression on a lot of people. It was one of the most extraordinary films ever made, actually. And it's still a great movie. The original is still a great movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And
what do you think about the new one?
Oh,
Not much chop.
no, there's a lot of love in it, but it just doesn't have the primal stuff of it. You know, he's extended a little bit of it, like the relationship between the girl and
the gorilla.
I think. I mean, obviously. Obviously, Jackson was really, you know, like all those other filmmakers we talked about at the beginning, they were totally in
love
awe
with the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great film.
So he, like me, would have only ever seen it on TV or video.
Well, my son only wanted to look at modern films, and I said, no, you've got to watch King Kong. It's an old film. And he carried on, and then bang, I finally got him to watch it, and he loved it. He loved it. It's a primal experience.
Okay, my father had the same effect on me. He said, you've got to watch this film. This film, this is his words, my dad's words. This film changed my life. What? This film changed my life. This was my dad's words. Literally his words. This film changed my life.
And he became a carpenter. He became a carpenter.
Yeah. It was 11 o'clock at night or something on a Saturday night. Yeah. And, you know, it was probably...
And you're allowed to stay up.
Well, yeah, because Deadly Earnest was on.
Oh, well.
But, you know, I wanted to watch Deadly Earnest. No, you're not. You're watching this. You have to watch this.
Who's Deadly Earnest? Because there's a lot of people out there...
They don't know who Deadly Earnest is.
That's right.
It's like Elvira, you know, like a horror movie host. So they had, like, cheap public domain horror films, like the Rocket Men from Mars or something. And, you know, which was good. I mean, I did enjoy it. But I was not prepared for King Kong. King Kong was one of the most scariest dramatic films that at that time of my life, that I'd ever seen. I've never seen anything like it. The beat of the drums, you know, and the crescendos of music.
Yeah, and that door. How the hell do they... That's right. It goes on and on.
Yeah, it starts at the gate, but they keep it going.
Yeah, but that
and
gate...
even the chase from the...
But even the gate, I'm sitting there thinking, how the hell do those natives build that gate? It's so huge.
Yeah, they must have had help from Kong. It would be like a matchstick project for him.
But it wasn't Kong, it was Kong. Kong.
Yeah, I think Peter Jackson did a good job with the natives in the remake.
Yeah.
You know, they were suitably scary, but my God, you didn't need much more from what Harryhausen did. That was like, wow.
It's a primal experience.
Not Harryhausen, sorry, Willis O'Brien.
Yeah. Anyway, so he sees the film. It takes over his imagination totally.
Yeah.
And he decides he's going to be a filmmaker like that. I think he wrote to Willis O'Brien.
Yeah.
And he got I don't know if he got a response, but he started making his own versions of it.
Yeah.
And he sort of, there wasn't too much information around about how to do it, so he just winged
research.
He just winged it, you know.
Yeah, but he did a lot of drawing.
Yeah, yes,
a lot of drawing. The research of anatomy to build the sculptures. Yeah. They were, even at that stage, he was a teenager.
Yeah.
Like 15, you know.
He made his first film at 18, and it was all you know, like it was just useful enthusiasm and a bit of money from his old man. His father helped him build things, and I think his mother made...
the costumes and
things, yeah.
Probably fur and things.
Yeah.
And his dad helped with the armatures.
I think that's a great story because whenever you read about that, it really
well, it just hammers home the support mechanism of how
with
a creative genius in the house.
Yeah, but having your parents
on how much support your parents
supporting you that way, it's always a great story. It always you know.
You see, Ray Harryhausen's mum and dad helped him out. Why can't you? You're not getting the cellar. Come on. Well, give me half of the garage. No, I've got nowhere to put the Kingswood.
Not the Kingswood.
I just vacuumed the bumper.
Not the Kingswood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he went on and made these other films, and he made little different. He went to school and learned how to draw properly. He realised,
art school.
Yeah, he went to art school, and
Yeah.
he was actually, the first film was 46, was it? No, 49. Mighty Joe Young, which is actually he worked on but was uncredited, and that was made by Willis O'Brien as well. Yeah.
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 So that was like an extraordinary piece of animation, actually, because whereas you had Kong, which was very imposing, Mighty Joe Young, people actually, fell in love with the character. He had so much emotion. He saved a little girl from a fire and all this sort of stuff. So it had a lot of emotional, what do you call it, cues that help you to feel for the character. What's the word?
Empathy.
Empathy, yeah. Empathise with the character.
You know about empathy, don't you?
Empathy.
You know all about it, don't you?
No.
Oh, we'll look it up in a book. Yeah. Anyway, I want to talk to you about the lines on his face and what he did, because, for instance, when you animate, in the Hydra, how many heads did the Hydra have? 8 or something?
7.
7, okay, yeah. Sorry, I never read it in Greek.
Okay.
So when you're animating a 7-headed monster, it's like you have to divide your head into 7 different separate parts that actually function independently from each other. But also in that same scene, he's fighting, he's moving his legs, the Hydra's moving its legs and its tail and all that stuff. So he has to segment his brain off because he's moving it, he's bringing it to life.
You mean, where does he come?
No,
how does he reference a 7-headed?
No.
action?
I'm talking about the concentration, the alertness, the intense
of the Hydra or him?
Of animating this thing.
Oh, right,
bring it to life for a couple of minutes on screen.
What's stop motion?
It's stop motion, but he's doing it all by himself.
Yeah.
And he's doing it late at night when there's no interruptions and everything's dead quiet, because he has to. If there's a telephone call or anything like that, it just breaks his concentration and he doesn't know where he was, because he's got to have all these heads. He's got to follow each one of those heads moving around. Otherwise, when and film it, all that stuff. And of course, if you forget one of the heads,
form of using keyframes. So you need to have some form of keyframe.
Yeah,
even though if
but
you're
I'm talking about
animating
his early work. He wouldn't have had that. He would have been. So I'm just saying. That type of activity, even today, as a stop frame animator, it's a lot of concentration. Incredible amount of concentration, takes a long time to do. So
well, look how much brain power he's got. He's got a lot of brain power to use.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, does all that sense of intense concentration manifest on the face?
Yeah,
that's my question.
Yeah. There's a lot of...
He's got 3 worry lines.
Has he?
Well, you've given him 3 so far.
A little French window there, a little French window there. So a little bit of the Riviera happening.
The shiny bits.
Yeah, we're going to build up a sort of... This is a textural quality.
Yeah.
I'm interpreting the face, because the face is a very pixelated, blurry thing. So I'm interpreting.
You specialise in using blurry photos, don't you?
Yeah.
It seems like you do anyway.
Well, I guess it's a challenge in the end. It's something you have to sort of interpret rather than it being there.
You should start up a business. Turn your blurry photographs into sharp caricatures with Frantz Kantor.
No. So
with added enzymes.
I obviously loved King Kong. I loved that very much. And I kind of grew up
How
with...
old were you when your dad made you watch it?
About 7.
Good age. Good age.
I don't think my mother was overly
she wouldn't be
enthused by the noise and the sound on a Saturday night at 11. No, turn the sound up. Can't you put that noise off? No, you got to hear this.
She had to get up early in the morning for the races, didn't she? First race.
We'll allow her She's no longer with us, so we'll allow her hobbies.
Yeah, gambling is a hobby.
It's an expensive hobby.
It is. But we all gamble, don't we? We all get married. We all have children. It's all a gamble.
So, creatively, drawing something that is obviously against the concepts of anatomy, like a Cyclops goes against a lot of anatomical concepts.
Yeah.
It's obviously legend. It's obviously fantasy. That's all I want to say. It just can't exist in life.
He'd have to be drawn in 1D, wouldn't he? A Cyclops. Actually, you've turned the Cyclops into a funny character, like a
Cyclopean stand-up.
Cyclopean. Interesting word.
Yeah. So it was like Saturday afternoon TV. I think Jason the Argonauts was a special. It was like on, like a weeknight. It might even been over 2 nights when I was a kid for some reason. Because it had like a killer soundtrack. I think it's like a Miklos Rotza or something. Clash, a lot of brass.
Yeah, I remember seeing it at the pictures. I saw it on television first, very early TV, but I remember seeing it at the pictures. My brother had bits of it on 9.5. He got somewhere
on 9 to 5.
On 9.5, which is a home movie sort of. It's between 16 and 8 mil.
Okay, what does that mean in English?
Well,
what's an 8 mil?
8 mil is 8 millimeter across.
Film size.
Yeah, Super 8.
Right.
And it was a home. It's a French product. It was sold in England.
A lot of us having trouble remembering VHS.
Yes, I know.
Or Betamax.
It was a film, a home film thing. It was cheap.
Yeah.
It was cheap, and they had the sprocket holes in the middle of the frames, between the frames, in the middle of the film, not on the side like most films are. And therefore you have roughly the size of a 16 mil frame, but cheaper. Anyway, he had bits of it, and I remember seeing those bits, but they're all silent, of course. But in the film, I remember when it was shown at the pictures, and when those drums are going, and before the gates open, the feeling in the theatre with all those kids was just extraordinary.
Well,
and the film broke down, and of course, all the kids screaming and yelling. The bloke came out and yelled out, "If you don't shut up, we won't continue the film," and all that. So we had to be good. We weren't banging our feet on the ground like we were before. And of course,
and which film was this again?
This is King Kong, of course. And I'm saying
King Kong.
Yeah, when we came out, we were just charged with this incredible experience. We just charged,
So
we're all just being.
You all King Kong. You walked out of the theatre.
Yeah, I mean,
walking like Donkey
wonderful
Kong.
Wonderful experience. All these kids, and sort of going home and trying to explain it to your older brother or your sister or your father or your mum, you just couldn't do it. It was just like King Kong was just something.
But they would have seen it though.
Well,
they would have all seen that in the 1930s.
Some of them did.
Because that was well before.
Trying to explain how you felt after seeing that film was pretty impossible. It was really powerful thing, overpowering.
Yeah, I didn't have that experience. I liked it very much. It was very interesting. But I saw it on TV. So, and obviously it's a black and white film. I would have seen it probably in black and white on black and white TV. But it was.
You haven't
very,
seen it
very
in
dramatic.
sepia? Have you seen the sepia version?
Yeah, of course. Since then I have.
What do you think of the sepia version?
First time I saw a black and white film in sepia, I was literally shocked how deep it was and how much the television robbed you of the depth of the tones. of the film because, like I think the first film I saw was like, I don't know, Ghost of Frankenstein
in
or
sepia.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like one, maybe. Did I see Wolfman? Probably.
Hang on, is this when colour TV came in and you changed to sepia?
Just before.
Okay, all right.
No, I'm talking about cinema.
Okay, all right. Yep.
In like film festivals when the censor died.
Yeah.
Good riddance. They released all of these horror films that they've been holding back.
That one particular censor died, you mean?
Yeah, good riddance.
Yeah.
And they released all these horror films, so people were able to. You couldn't show a film without a certificate, and they weren't willing to give certificates to any horror film. This blanket right across the thing. I don't know what you have in Melbourne, but in growing up in Sydney, we had no horror films growing up until I was in my younger teens, and I think the first horror film that I saw was The Exorcist. 74 or something like that. So after that, that opened up. Obviously, I'd seen horror films on TV.
The Exorcist
but they were heavily censored.
The Exorcist was an ad for the Catholic Church because only the priest can do that sort of work.
Well, it's very very scary.
You don't get your rabbi. You don't get your rabbi or your vicar doing that sort of work.
No,
you get your Catholic priest out there.
No, we don't have things like the devil.
No, you have. Who do you have? You have
no one.
Yes, you have.
No, we take responsibility for our sins, the bad things we do. We don't blame it on the devil.
Actually, Frankenstein came from that character, the Polish.
That's not an evil character. You're talking about the Golem.
Golem. The Golem.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, it's not an evil character. He's just a robot. It's like a man of mud.
Yeah, well,
with a singular purpose.
But he's where Superman comes from.
Yes, it is true. Yeah, that and the perpetual waiting for the Messiah. Waiting. Oh, here's Jesus. We're still waiting. So, that's a little in joke. If you're.
It's a little in joke, that one. Waiting.
Anyway, from like 7 years old, I was fascinated by Greek mythology, as you would be, and all of the characters, the centaurs and the Pegasus and the Cyclops, and all the monsters and things, the Titans and
Hercules.
Yeah. And Heracles in Greek. Yeah. So there's a difference, obviously, between the Greek version and the Roman version.
So you saw all those sword and sandal movies,
Yes, with Reeves. What's his name? Steve Reeves.
Steve Reeves, yeah.
Yes, very much.
Hercules Unbound.
Yeah,
the giant of Marathon.
Even the Kirk Douglas Ulysses didn't really
turn you on.
No, didn't, because it's a guy in this big bulky makeup. What this guy did was incredible.
You couldn't,
and it's stop motion.
Yeah, you couldn't compare
credit where credit's due. It's not an easy process. It's a very time-consuming.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Process, and it's really a very lone.
Yes,
it's a lonely business.
And you've got to keep all these computations and all these movements all in your head.
Well, he's a lone genius. He was a Martian in that respect. Did he do? We should go back to this. I nearly called him the Martian. First Men on the Moon. Okay, well, he did that. Did he do? That was George Powell who did the War of the Worlds, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the Time Machine.
Yes. So, but he had these fantastical beasts. These creations: the centaur, the skeletons.
Well, he didn't come up with. He didn't come up
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad.
He didn't come up with new stuff. He's
Jason
just sort
and
of.
the Argonauts.
He's bringing to life all these characters that everybody had read about in myth and storybooks and etc.
Yeah, but he gave them an anatomical believability. So he was really good. His dinosaurs Like this is eons before Jurassic Park, you know.
Yeah.
And this is the effect that this guy had. They were so believable. Everything about it was just really full on, accuracy in these animals, because he was, nothing was slapdash. Everything was really well drawn out, and all the characters are beautifully designed.
He certainly didn't
really, really well.
He certainly didn't glue.
And they look really believable.
He didn't glue fins on the back of lizards and then film them in slow motion.
No, like Journey to the Centre of the Earth. Yeah, Lost in Space. No, he didn't do that. No, he didn't do that. That was like the cheaper.
But
if you can't afford Ray Harryhausen, that's what you get.
But the great thing about Harry is that he stuck to the King Kong thing. He really wanted it. He believed it because it was so good. I mean, there were lots of problems with the fur of King Kong,
Yeah.
But he wanted to continue that.
And people say that, but at the same time, I've seen people actually think or feel that gave it more believability. That handmade effect was very, very attractive.
Those bits and pieces
kept you riveted to
but you'd never seen
screen.
You'd never seen that effect before. Therefore, it's new to you. It's part of the alien experience of seeing a giant dinosaur, or a giant gorilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So if you look at it as an
and of course, if you think about
if
you think of how gorillas were used in movies after that, there was just that one big suit that they used in the
Three Stooges.
Yeah, in the Three Stooges and movies like that, it was just a bloke in a suit, and you longed for Kong, didn't you? When you saw things like that, you just longed for Kong because Kong,
Yeah, you couldn't get any better than Kong.
The musical for Kong.
The music.
Yeah, the musical.
What musical?
There's a musical called King Kong. It's on stage in New York. The actual...
Bull dust.
No, the actual King Kong puppet model was built in Footscray in Melbourne.
Oh,
Australia.
I see what you mean. Yeah. The new musical.
Yeah.
But that Kong is based on the film of Peter Jackson.
Yes.
So just a big bloody head and a paw, probably.
Yeah. Well, I remember how the thing I liked about the Jackson movie is how he puts her down before he's killed. He's got her in a hand and he puts her down.
Well, what did he take it up there in the first place for?
That's a good question.
You stupid monkey. This guy here, the Cyclops, is arguably the best known Ray Harryhausen creation.
Yeah.
He's photographed a lot with the other...
Because he was a little bit of the... in the last... Not the Kraken, the...
Golden Voyage of Sinbad, he was a centaur,
Yeah, except he didn't have a ram's head, horn on his head, did he?
He did have a horn on his head.
Did he?
I think so.
No, I'm just thinking about the other film he was in.
No, he wasn't in. He was only in
but
Sinbad.
The
Seventh Voyage.
Yeah.
He wasn't in the Golden Voyage, but there was another Cyclops, and at this time he made it into a centaur instead of a goat-footed character.
I wonder what Harryhausen thought of Fantasia.
I don't think he's ever been...
Well, I mean, that's the...
Well, it's a different form of animation. It's not the same.
No, I know, but I'm just saying... from that point on, I think paleontology lifted about 180 degrees.
From Fantasia?
Yeah, a lot of people were really impressed with that because the dinosaurs are fighting and all that sort of stuff.
Well, no, Willis O'Brien did dinosaurs.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about how...
Lost World.
I know. There are scientists gone on record talking about Fantasia, but I wonder if he had. If Harry had any input into Fantasia. I wonder.
I don't know. You mean what?
Mind you, Mighty Joe Young was 49 and Fantasia was 39. 40. Okay.
Yeah, but there's no dinosaurs in Mighty Joe Young.
No.
So I don't understand.
No.
What you've just said.
What's the last film? What's how the hand goes down?
The hand goes down. That's
the last thing
frame.
you see. Is that Mighty Joe Young, where the hand actually sinks? The hand of the beast goes down.
No, that's the son of Kong.
Oh, that's okay.
No, Mighty Joe Young.
I remember seeing the end of that. That was sad.
Yeah.
Watching the hand go down.
Yeah. I was sad when the claw went down in the giant claw.
I wasn't. Thank God for that.
I loved that film. I thought that film. I was shocked when I first saw the monster, and they were going to work with Ray Harryhausen to create the monster because they loved his work on It Came From Beneath the Sea and Monster from the 20,000 Fathoms or whatever it's called. So they were going to use him, but I think in the end they ran out of budget, ran out of time. So they got this puppeteer from Mexico to create the monster, and it was stupid. It was so bad. It's good. It's like a classic film, and the whole thing is sold, of course, by the actors. They're really, really good actors. Have to work overtime in order to make you believe in not just the unbelievable, but the stupid. So that was the case for the Giant Claw. Not the case for any of Ray's films, of course, because they had a believability which is based on his solid knowledge of anatomy and drawing skills. So he was able to, draw all of the characters that he designed.
Has he cut himself shaving, has he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of his work on YouTube. Lots of clips.
Interviews.
Yes. There's 2 docos
DVD
that I
extras.
looked at recently on him. And one, he's sitting in this museum somewhere in Europe that actually have his work, his models all around him.
Yeah.
And I think he did something for BBC where he actually does some animation. They film him animating, fast framing it.
Yeah.
And he talks about his work.
They film him animating something.
Yeah, for the credits of this.
For the doco.
Yeah. And which you see at the end. You don't see at the beginning. And of course, there was something recently on Facebook about there's going to be an exhibition of his models at some Scottish museum. Gallery or museum, I'm not sure what it is, but it's in Scotland. It's going to start in July, apparently.
Hootsman,
yeah.
The Hootsman Gallery, I like that. So
yeah, it's organised by his daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's just wild about Harry too.
Is she?
Yeah.
Ethel Merman?
Though he's built like the bust of Apollo, just remember a statue is hollow. When he calls me his mate, I just disintegrate, 'cause it's Harry she's planning to marry.
So, okay, so let's get in. We've got some brown pencil which we created form, and then we came in and created drama with the black pencil. And then we're creating light and texture with the white pencil. So ain't that funny? And we're probably going to get some help with the pens in a sec. We've got some paint pens. So we'll build up a bit of
what's
more
your favourite?
contrast.
What's your favourite?
Well, I've already said, the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad is my favourite. I watch it every year. Every year I'll watch it. Broken a pencil. So every year I watch Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and I really enjoy it, and I get something from it every single time I watch it. I get that same feeling that I had when I was like 8 years old when I saw it. I even dragged my sister along to the cinema to see Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
Did she like it?
No. Well, she was like meh, she didn't mind it, but it's not really her cup of tea, so to speak. So,
I think Mysterious Island, is that the film where the giant crab?
The giant crab, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that.
And the giant bees and the giant...
Yeah, but the crab in particular, because there's some guy gets caught in the claw, gets snapped in half.
I think that... I don't remember that in the film. I think that was in the drawing. He did all these beautiful drawings.
Yeah.
Or somebody did. I don't know if it was him, but...
Yeah. But I really love that particular thing because of the soundtrack too,
Yeah.
And of course in Jason, your Argonauts, when they throw the things on the ground,
the teeth of the Hydra,
and then all
to grow the skeleton army,
they all
the
come
children of the Hydra, kill,
and of course,
and then they came to life.
They slowly come towards them, and then they rush at them.
Yeah, and
it scares the daylights out of you, and then it looks like they're going to lose.
Yeah, but what about the music? The Miklos Rotsa music, the clashing cymbals and the fantastic, crescendos of music and stuff. That was really exciting. Made that scene very, very over dramatic, very powerful. It was a good movie. It had, apart from big fatty Bombola, what was he? Triton? Zeus's brother from Under the Sea. That guy.
Hades?
No, that's from Under the
not Mercury.
No, not Mercury.
With his three-pronged.
Him.
Him. Yeah.
In Roman, it's Triton, or not Triton. Damn! Can't remember his name. Anyway,
Prince Namor.
No, not Prince Namor. They just used an actor, so he held up the clashing rocks of the Bosphorus, so that the Argo could pass through. So it's just big fatty.
The Argo being the ship.
It was supposed to be the brother of Zeus. They could have used a stop motion character, but they decided not to.
Well, they probably started working on it, and then sorry, Harry, you can't afford it.
They did do a stop motion tail though, the mermaid tail that he had. Neptune,
that's right. Neptune.
And so they did use that.
That didn't take long.
It took a long time. Anyway, that film, I think it was, from memory, I've got this funny feeling it was like they made a big deal about it on TV when they screened it, and I have for some reason thinking that it was either over 2 nights or it was like a school night, and
they wouldn't
I got in a lot of trouble watching it. Either it was over 2 nights or something.
It wouldn't have been over 2 nights.
I don't know. I can't remember how they.
You probably had an exam the next day.
Probably, yeah.
But I know how you feel because I remember waiting for certain films and they'd be showing Fellini's Roma on the other side of Melbourne on a Sunday night, and you
You
knew
at
that,
school the next day or something.
and you knew that when you got out there'd be no transport, but you still went because you had to see that film. You just had to see it,
Right.
and then you'd.
And yet you don't like Satyricon, which is probably my favourite Fellini film.
Oh, I love Fellini, but he made a lot of
Stinkers.
He made a lot of stinkers, yeah. Made a lot of stinkers. I think a lot of people weren't prepared for Satyricon for a start.
It does. Yeah,
They
it
just
doesn't
thought he was going to
surprise
make
me.
a dirty Roman movie.
He did.
But it's more than a dirty Roman movie, you know.
Well, if you want that, go and watch Decameron or something. Or
Well, another Italian, Pasolini.
Pier Pasolini. The guy that made, is it Salo or something? The one they
Yeah, he made
threatened
Salo. Yeah.
to ban.
Well, they did.
They did
Yeah.
in Italy. We got to see it, I think, before it.
I finally got to see it about 3 years ago in Melbourne. It was made 40 years ago. I tried to drag my wife to see it because it was showing in France when we were over there, and she was disgusted with me, dragging me to this movie.
Oh, so you walked out of it.
No, we didn't get to see it.
Oh, right. But how did she know? Did you tell her what was in it?
I told her it was banned, and
then she got
it's the only
disgusted.
it's the only time we can see this film. It won't ever come to Australia, etc.
Right, that was very forthcoming of you. I would have just said, we're going to go and see an action-adventure film.
Oh, it's a long time ago. When we were in France, we saw Popeye with
In France, he's called
with French
Popeye.
dubbing.
Yeah. What's he called in France? Popeye.
Oh, I can't remember, but
He's called Popeye.
the whole theatre was completely packed, and they had these seats on the aisle that they flip down. They're like the seats in planes, up the front with the cockpit. You push them down and you sit on it. There's no back or anything. And we were sitting in the aisle. And I remember it had been raining and really cold outside, and everybody, you could watch all the steam come out of the coats on the screen.
So it added more atmosphere.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that Robin Williams' French was so good.
You're talking about the Popeye film?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't seen
That's when
that.
it first
I don't
came
know.
out.
I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
No.
It's all about tax. It's a Robert Altman movie. It's pretty interesting, actually.
Is it?
It's all about tax.
I thought you were talking about the cartoons.
No. I'm just trying to...
Because the cartoons, for your edification, is they're really, really good. The Fleischer cartoons are magnificent.
They're terrific.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Go.
Yeah, we should do Fleischer one day. The Fleischer is a master.
Well, which one?
Dave?
Well, there were two of them, the brothers.
Max or Dave? I don't know which one.
You might have to do both.
I don't know which one is which.
Which is which? You're going to do a black background now, you reckon, or what? Do a white one?
I don't know. More Harryhausen stuff.
You've given him a...
What's the least favourite? The owl. Everyone says the owl. I hate the owl.
Well, the owl was stuck...
I don't like the owl.
I think the owl was forced into the last movie he made because they needed an R2-D2 sort of character because, you know, Star Wars had one. And so he had this little owl that I thought was silly. I mean, it's a pretty uneven film, that. You've got all these British Shakespearean actors sitting around in robes casting pearls before swine.
Yeah. He was a rotten Zeus. He stunk as Zeus. He was a rotten Zeus. He phoned it in. Didn't like him at all. I liked Zeus and Jason. I thought that guy was a very sort of amiable, conversational sort of version of of a god. But yeah, and Jason, if you want stinker, think of Neptune. There you go. He was a stinker. But the rest of the monsters, the harpies, were brilliant. The harpies were scary.
Yeah,
it was that
the harpies.
Guy,
yep.
That scene with Robert Troughton from Doctor Who. Was it Robert Troughton? No.
It's pretty.
Was it him?
It's pretty hard to stuff up the harpies. The harpies are always scary. Doesn't matter who draws them or whatever. Harpies are pretty scary. I've always thought.
Well, he had Harryhausen had this great sense of believability for his monsters. Hence, this guy that I'm drawing now, very, very believable. And no one had really done a Cyclops before. So, it's the first time on screen that anyone had ever seen anything like this.
Well, that's right. The first time they moved.
Well,
because there's lots of drawings by all sorts of people, but
yeah,
this was the first time we saw a flying horse and flying all these other things.
Yeah. So it was really exciting to see all of this happen on screen. And even if the animation was a bit stilted, you get a little bit of stilted
yes.
animation with stop motion because it's not as fluid as drawn animation.
Yes.
And
well, actually, it's funny. I remember
Phil Tippett created a version called what was it? Go Motion, where he, every second frame he would put a blurred frame in there. So that
to give it that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the in-betweens were smoother.
Yeah. I remember as a child when you saw that jerkiness, you didn't like it, but as an adult...
You understood it.
As an adult, I actually like it.
Mm.
I actually like it because it's...
yeah. And
it sort of draws attention. It draws attention to the other aspects of the animation to a certain extent,
Mm. Well, it's a human element, isn't it? It's like it's created by the hand of a master.
Mm.
This guy that had this incredible talent and imagination.
Well, the other thing is when you're looking at the skeletons fighting Jason and his Argonauts, or what was left of them, the action's happening that fast and furious that you can't keep up with the action. It's overwhelming. And you think they're gonna lose, but it looks like they're losing. They keep on going backwards,
Well, they get driven off the cliff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But they fooled Aeetes. They fooled Aeetes, King Aeetes, because the Argo was waiting below in the water. So they just boarded the ship without a port. It was a British film. And they didn't have a lot of history of doing sword and sandal films.
No.
But they did, quite a good job, I thought. I mean, you would have thought they'd just get the Italians to do it because they just have this thing about it with Steve Reeves. But no, they did a very good job.
Well, probably there's no precedent in Italian cinema for that sort of stop frame. I don't know. Could be wrong, but.
That could be it too, because but they're more of a separate unit than the live action. I mean, Harryhausen would be directing the effects work.
Yeah.
And he'd get a live action director to help with the actors.
Yeah.
But when you have the actors interacting with the special effects, then obviously it has to be Harryhausen to direct that, because it wouldn't mesh
Well,
there's a lot of stuff, by the way. If you look at his storyboards, there is a hell of a lot of stuff that's not in the storyboards, and it's because it's in his head. Look at the size of that noggin.
Yeah.
That's a big noggin.
That's a big noggin, is it?
Yeah. So there's a lot
noggin
of brain
on
power
noggin's
in
door.
there. His eyes are squinting because, he's really... it's like one eye's almost closed. It's sort of, the Popeye effect. It's got this brilliant stare.
So did he animate
He really knows...
every second frame or every frame?
No, stop motion is still not using every frame. It's
Okay.
24 frames in film per
In a second. So he would have done every second one.
Yeah, would usually be on twos, depending on the action. If the action's very fast, some of the sword fighting would be on ones.
Yeah.
But mostly, I think, normal movements and actions would be on twos. But, that's still a lot of posing.
Mm.
It's still 12 photos, incremental poses per second.
Well, there would have been a hell of a lot in his head, as you said, to keep it all together.
Yeah.
To make it, because it all has to work in the end,
Yeah. If you lose your way, you've got to go back to the beginning of the scene and start again.
That's right.
So, it can either be your friend or your enemy. You need a certain amount of systemization. So I think key poses, at least key poses, would have helped. You can't do key frame animation because it's stop motion. It's all like incremental movements ahead, like animating in sequence. But key poses, yeah, definitely. You would be reliant on his storyboarding and probably, I don't know if he did animatics back then, but there's a lot of stuff going on in this. A lot of stuff. So most of the energy would be in there.
Well, his stuff is still popular even today, that's for sure. Even with all the CGI and everything, his stuff's still popular because it's unique, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's not just like, quirky because of the distance of time. This is a master of hands-on cinema. Hands-on cinema. It gets into the frame itself. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So in between...
Handmade.
Yeah, so in between drawing frames and filming frames, there's this construction, this sculpture over, in order to create a sense of believability. Remember, believability is not just reliant on realism. It's reliant on...
Bespoke, made for the situation.
You make it up as you go, type of thing. Brilliant genius. We're really lucky he left such a great body of work. And this is him towards the end. He's, look how much character and happiness. He's had a happy life. He did what he wanted to do, and
he hung out with monsters.
I mean, what could be more fun than that? Very intelligent face. It's almost like Yoda. You could get him to do Yoda without a problem. He's like the ultimate Jedi. This is Ray Harryhausen. This is my version of Ray Harryhausen. Let's go back to the before and sort of work out where I'm thinking of. This is how blurry he is. But I've tried to, create a sense of his expression and intensity and imagination in the drawing, and I hope I've achieved a little bit of that. This is Ray Harryhausen, Frantz Kantor, and
Jim Bridges
saying we will catch you
on the flip side.
Bye-bye.